Howdy, folks. All over. I'm finally on. What's going on, people? Hopefully the sound's working today. I installed like a voice controller modulator thing for weird and funny sounds, and it jacked up the sound that I had yesterday. And I recorded an entire video, and it was all a couple minutes back. Let me double check the sound is working here. Is the sound working? I don't even know. Hopefully it's working. I think it is. Invest in a new computer one of these days. So let's see here. If I lost everybody, I think I have. Anyways, I'm going to get some listing done. Let's see here. Let's see, is it working? Looks like it is. All right, cool. All right. Brought food with me today, at least. One person, or is that me? Has anybody else's sales been slowing down? Mine picked up yesterday. They slowed, I think, last week, the second half of the week especially. They picked up after that, though. I want to say, I don't know if it was Saturday night onwards. So maybe some late shoppers. had like a bunch of shirt sales, like 8 in a 12-hour period, which I usually don't get this time of year. Usually it's after people get their gift cards for Christmas. So like 24th, 25th onwards, it should usually pick up a little bit. It's kind of hit and miss with sending offers. That's what I'm doing right now, actually. I don't know if you guys do that. I send them as soon as I get them. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they work because every now and then I'll get an immediate response. Usually that's the sale. If you get an immediate response from a offer, then that's the one that's gonna purchase the item. People don't have the patience to wait. At least people that buy my stuff, it's usually a second and then done. Let's take a look at Amazon. Oh, I've got a couple. Nothing fancy. Another video game, another CD. That's mainly what I have over there. CDs and media, that kind of stuff. So this guy wants. There you go. Double check that I have this. I'm pretty sure I do. It's funny the things that people buy, random stuff. It's listed forever. I'm not going to complain. You never know. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I really didn't want to get up this morning, but that's okay. That's what you do. You get up. Once I'm up, I'm fine. It's just the getting up that's the hard part. Sometimes. Okay, I think there'll be a slight lull. I usually don't get people that want me to express items. Is what today's the 21st, so priority mail is a no-go. Anything I'm shipping out today is going to be, I don't know. We're still buying. There's a couple shirts. One is a button-up. What do you call it? One's just a t-shirt. One's a button-up shirt. Another one is a Marmot base layer. Not much, $13. But people buy this kind of stuff year-round. Marmot, Under Armour. It's not fancy, but it sells. $15, $20, somewhere in there. Yeah, it's cold today. Maybe I just get used to the heater on. Let's see, right now the weather is 35 here. I don't know why it says 98% humidity. Maybe there is 98% humidity. 4% precipitation. I don't see any rain. Oh my goodness. There's an earthquake in a volcano eruption in Hawaii. That's nuts. 4.4 earthquake followed by the eruption. Oh boy. Okay, let's list. I don't know. Okay. Funny, my daughter's teacher hasn't shown up. It's 8:02. Wonder if the internet's down again. Hope everyone's having a good Christmas. Hey, Leroy. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Yeah, Leroy is doing a side job right now, so he'll be in and out, audio only for a little bit for today. So thanks for stopping in, though, Leroy. Me and Leroy are going to be on later this week, though. Or Wednesday and Thursday, most likely. We'll see how it goes. We're going to play it by ear because I know this week's super slow. A lot of people are, obviously at home with their families and stuff. So I'm still listing, so that's why I'm here. Never stop listing. And if you guys haven't already, you really need to check out Leroy's channel. He's putting up videos. Hey, Louie, how's it going, man? Louis had a long live yesterday, actually. So if you guys, I'm sure you can check that out on his channel too. Yeah, Leroy's been putting out videos as well for the last week or two. He's getting ready to put up a third. So check out his channel. I'll put descriptions. Actually, I think it's already in the description. I'm gonna check out his YouTube channel. Everyone on here has got cool YouTube channels. Check them all out. You know, support your fellow reseller. It helps. So I know the way it is now, you can't click. Unfortunately, YouTube changed it. Like if you click on somebody's screen name, I don't think it takes you to their channel anymore. You can't right click and go to their channel. I don't know why YouTube took that out. It's really annoying, especially when their whole thing is pushing lives, but you can't get to somebody's channel. So just, I don't know, click on people's screen names or copy and paste them, go to their channels and check them out. It helps. But anyways, and if you guys didn't know, we're also a podcast. I've kind of let that go for a week or two, but if you guys want to check us out, we just got onto Pandora yesterday, which is probably small for some people, but it's pretty big for me. It took us a while to get on there. I don't know what the deal is. You don't have to pay anything. They just take a while to process it. So I think we are pretty much on pretty much every platform, podcasting platform that is, like iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Google. I don't know. There's like a bunch of them. Actually, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm uploading an audio file to Anchor because we're on Anchor. So let's see if it's all there. I'm doing it without listening to it, which is a little scary. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Where am I? What are you guys listening? Is anybody listening anything right now? Or people at work? All I'm listening right now are shirts, similar to the ones I put in that video today. Just shirts. So they seem to sell pretty well. Year round. Hey, Carl, how's it going, man? Nice to see you on here. Thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate it. I know it's a little slow today, so don't worry. Leroy will be back next time we do a show. See, right now, he's doing some vinyl flooring, 300 square foot. Right now, I'm just knocking some nails and prepping the floor. Nice. See, I feel lazy because he talks about this kind of stuff and he's hard at work already. My time it's 8:12, so I'm guessing it's around 11ish where he is, but I'm guessing he's been working for a while already. I'm sitting at home. You're making me feel lazy, Leroy. Okay. That makes me feel like I need to list twice as much. All right, let's get this done. Maryland. Terrapins. Okay. Come on now, don't beat yourself up. I should be listing not working. Hey, work is work, man. Money is money. Nobody cares where the dollar comes from as long as you get it. You know, obviously, as long as you're not doing anything weird, but you're hard at work, so don't knock that. Very cool. I've been running a bunch of sales actually recently on eBay. I don't always do that, but pretty much I want to say 9 out of 10 days that I've run a sale, especially in the last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of stuff sell. So I've had some interesting things with eBay. I've had some people try and return some stuff they shouldn't have. There's a guy yesterday that I wasn't really sure because we shipped some shoes to Canada. He sent me a picture of some broken shoes. And when I checked the tracking, they hadn't arrived yet. So if anyone tries to do a return, make sure you can track it because you can just go straight to eBay. And they technically, I guess they could be telling the truth. Maybe the international tracking doesn't always update immediately, like in the eBay system. But with me, he didn't respond after I said, your tracking doesn't show that you received the item. So I basically said, I'm not sure if I can refund you if you can't send me pictures. Usually what I do is I say, send me pictures and I just refund them. I don't really care. But it was a little weird that he didn't respond. He should just respond with a picture or something. I don't know. People are kind of, I don't really want more sales now. Thinking of using time away until USPS is fixed, even though I'm in Canada. Yeah, I'm not sure what Canada, I mean, I ship to Canada all the time. It seems like it's expensive to go to Canada, more expensive than it should be. But yeah, USPS is, after this period, they'll be okay. They're used to the load. It's just, it's crazy right now. Not just with the amount of mail and with other stuff too. So I think that, yeah, I'd take a break too right now. I'm just listening because the difference with me is that my kids, their school is upstairs online. So they take a break, it just means they turn off the computer. So for us, it's not much of a change. I don't know, USPS, their issues are multiple fold. They had issues before this whole pandemic started. And if Michael Bennett's here, he'd be able to explain better than I would. But yeah, they have, I don't know, it's a mixed bag. If you talk to USPS, you talk to some people that work there and they're like hardcore, like, you know, it's the best place ever. Other people, not so good on them because they have the issues between internally as well. Between, you got, I guess, I mean, if you go into it, you got differences between the people that are actually full-time and the people that aren't, like the I don't know what you call them, but the assist, like the CCAs versus like the carriers. Then you got issues between management and the actual USPS workers and the drivers. And then you got, obviously, the unions play their part too. So that was all before COVID. And then now COVID just made things crazy. I was reading a report on the USPS. It actually wasn't a report. It was a message a guy was saying. He said it usually, I don't know who was saying it. Somebody was saying that they usually deliver a couple hundred packages a day. Now it's more like 200 to 300. Some people it's like 400 to 500 individual drop-offs. So that's crazy. And they usually never leave a package behind. I remember talking to people and say it was unheard of to leave something undelivered that day. Like somebody else would come and help you, or you just be out later. Like you'd be out till 9, 10, 11, whatever it was. You deliver that package. Now, the idea that something's left behind in the warehouse till the next day or wherever, that's not really happened before. At least not much from what I've heard. I don't know. Any USPS people out there want to chime in? Because to be honest, all the workers I met there, either the clerks or the drivers, you know, the carriers, they're all unbelievably hardworking. So yeah, it's not USPS I have an issue with. This is hard times for them as customers who might not understand. Yeah, I'm not saying you're insinuating anything. Yeah, I wasn't saying that you were saying that, but yeah, it's kind of, hey, Luis, how's it going, man? Check out Kelly Reseller Luis. He has a auction tomorrow night. I believe it's 6 p.m. or 7. I think it's in the evening on Tuesday nights. I will put a description down below for his auction because he's a good guy and he always checks in and says, hey, see, where's Kelly Reseller Luis? Anyone's interested? Yeah, Tuesday night. This is a link to this thing. I don't know how it works. I don't know if you can click on that. You might have to cut and paste it. Because I know a lot of you guys are just listening. But that's his Tuesday night auction. Good guy, and I actually bought some stuff from him a couple times. So there you go. Let's see here. So anyways, as I was saying, USPS, I should do a video on them because I've worked in the USPS, around the USPS for years until just recently. No problem, wasn't up here. So I don't know. A lot of people talk about privatizing of the post office. I think what the problem with the post office is that a lot of people don't get is the amount of, how do I say this? balancing that they're doing. It's kind of like a company that does a huge balancing act. They have, like I said, it's like not 2 different sides. It's like 10 different sides. You've got issues with state and federal government changing things nonstop. They had the issue with the pensions that they had to pay. They had to fund billions of dollars worth of pensions up front when the '08 crash happened, which is unheard of. I think they're one of the only, or if not the only, federal agency that doesn't get funding. I don't know if it's 100%, but I'm pretty sure they don't get funding at all. But they're like a pseudo federal agency. I guess they count as they're federal agents, they count as all that, but at the same time, they don't get any money. Like one of the only agencies that they don't get money, like in those stimulus packages. That's why it was a big deal, because they don't get money otherwise from the government. They get money from stamps. So I guess the joke going around is when people say we pay when you say you pay a USPS's worker's salary with your taxes, you don't. If you buy a stamp, I guess, or postage, or if you're like a lot of people think that they're like, I don't know, lazy for some reason, when that's couldn't be further from the truth. Yeah, I know this because like I said, I've been in shipping for like a long time. So a lot of these guys are friends, or I know them, or sat inside those warehouses and been behind the counters and talked to the postmasters personally. They have to ship everywhere, even though they lose money on the route. No private company is forced to lose money. Yeah, you're right. I mean, funding the pensions, I get it. You want to have money for your pensions, but it was like a law or whatever they called it. They were forcibly asked to fund pensions, like billions of dollars worth of pensions, which, to be honest, a lot of these multinationals lose money year over year, so it's not unheard of. I mean, they could have been, they could have been managed a little bit better. I get that, because every single year there's they have union disputes, and they have to re-up obviously everyone gets raises and everything based on inflation, based on everything. I get that, that's fine, but that's a tension that's not really going away. So you've got union versus management, you've got government, you've got COVID, you've got pensions that have to be funded. So it's not a one-sided thing. I wish I should get somebody. I know they can officially talk on air, but maybe I should get like an ex-USPS worker to talk about it a little bit, because it's really interesting, the issues you have to, because it's like a company, but it's not a company. It's federal, but it's not federal. They're not private, they're not federal. They're kind of this weird in-between thing. I know other countries, I think, is the UK, is the UK, Royal Mail, I think they are privately funded, or maybe I'm thinking of the wrong country. Royal Mail, privately owned. With you on that, it's complicated. Yeah, it's totally complicated. See, like the Royal Mail, it's kind of weird, because they say, it should sell off that. See, for most of its history, the Royal Mail was a public service operated by the government or department or public corporation. The UK initially retained 30% stake in Royal Mail, but its remaining shares in 2015 ending. Okay. So they were nearly 500 years owned by the state, and no longer, it looks like. So in England, in Britain, the post office is a limited company owned entirely by, it's entirely by the government now. I don't know, maybe it went back and forth. But I know, my point to that is I know a lot of people want the US government to be the post office to be bought out by a private company. But the issue with that is, if that happens, I'm pretty sure the first thing that will happen is they'll go after salaries. And a lot of people, like a lot of these carriers that have been working for 10, 20, 30, some 50 years, I don't think they'd be too happy about that. So it'd be tough to break up the post office and sell them privately. I'm sure it could happen, but do I think, I mean, it would take somebody that would know the actual workings of the post office to do that, to keep it running the way it works. Because right now it runs on a knife edge, from what I can see. You know, the balancing act between how they pay people, how they do overtime, how the union gets their money, how they deal with all the mail, how they deal with like overtime. Like the way it works usually is that a regular carrier will work whatever his hours are, normal, and this is normal times, not around Christmas. And then when they're done, they can leave, and then they'll have, you know, a CCA come in and do the rest of it. So like an assistant. And then you have, because otherwise you'd have to pay the original guy overtime. So then there's all these different things. And then I think they all have different budgets. I don't know if it's by state or by county or by city, million different things. I don't know, I'm rambling now, but anyways, my point to that was it'd be really complicated. They would pretty much have to go back to square one. I don't know if they'd be able to continue doing it the way they're doing it now. They'd have to go back to square one and redo everything, which would be a nightmare. I don't know. I should do an interview with somebody, like I said, that maybe they are a retired USPS worker or something. So maybe people could understand better than me, because I shouldn't spout off when I'm not in there. So, but yeah, it is something that, yeah, they're out there right now. I wonder if they get days off. I see it as a service like police and education. Absolutely. It was so profitable. If it was so profitable, then private would already do it. That's a good point. But it is very long. So yeah, you're probably right about that. If it was, they probably would have jumped in. I think what happens, I don't know. I think what's happening is, one, there's a push, obviously. Internally, I don't think like the board wants to privatize the USPS. But at the same time, I think obviously when you go and you try and do a big takeover, when they allow you to take a look at everything, you have the option of walking away. I'm wondering if maybe one or two companies have taken a look and they said, you know what, this is going to be too hard to do. The big thing about the USPS, the main thing that I see, obviously other than postage, is that they're the only ones able to go to everyone's individual address. They have essentially a monopoly on delivering to a mailbox. But what Amazon have done, and UPS and FedEx to a certain extent, by creating their own delivery services, you know, Amazon deliver. When you're delivering to a door, you kind of circumvent that. You're going even closer, because, you know, anyone that lives in a house that was built in the last 20 years, they don't build individual mailboxes a lot of times anymore. They'll have the big boxes that has 20 different addresses. So a USPS worker will go to that. They won't go to a door necessarily unless they need a signature or they want to drop off a package or something. So they're the only ones allowed to go to these big boxes. But it's what's more convenient, if somebody comes to your door or leaves it in your mailbox. Now, I guess if you're not home, you want it in the mailbox. But a lot of people, especially they're at home right now, they don't care. They'll want to, you know, if somebody rings on the doorbell and just leaves it right there, like Amazon does, UPS does, FedEx does, even Walmart does that now. And what do you prefer? I mean, I don't like how the big companies have deals that are not public. Yeah. If they are public, those deals should be public. A little guy should not have to pay 2 or 3 times as much as a huge company. Yeah, you're right about that. One thing I will say with USPS postage, and getting back to eBay, is if you want better USPS pricing, you can negotiate that individually. I used to have it. I've been lazy since I shut down my store, because I no longer had those bank accounts, so I had to close I had a USPS commercial account. It bases it off your volume, which is really cool. So if you're selling whatever you're selling per month, per day, per week, whatever, they'll take a look at that. At least they used to. So if you're interested in a commercial USPS account, people make it sound like it's difficult to get. No, the only difficult thing to do is to get a hold of the guy that's going to do the salesman part of it, which might be hard now because of COVID. But USPS commercial rates are open to everybody. The difference is what kind of rate you're gonna get. There's not one rate, there's a couple. So the more shipping you do, the better rate you get. That's it, it's as simple as that. I remember the guy, I used to know him for years. I knew this Jimmy was his name actually. He did our USPS commercial rates, and they changed once our shipping dropped. Our rates weren't as good. We weren't hitting our numbers. So that's part of the reason I don't have anymore, because they don't have the numbers. We had a shipping store before, so obviously I was doing a lot of shipping. So if anyone's interested, if you're doing a decent amount of shipping, I don't know what the rates are, and I don't know what they go on anymore. The last time I talked to that guy was like 2014, so a long time ago. But you can do that with UPS. You can do it with FedEx, even DHL. DHL will not DHL won't leave you alone. The only bad part about DHL is in on here.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. Are you talking about shipping?
Yeah. Once I get on the shipping, I can't stop. It might bore most people. I was just saying that. Yeah. All I was saying was, to be honest, that people talk about getting a commercial USPS account or UPS account or a FedEx account like it's difficult. It's not. It's a sales guy. It's like the equivalent to you buying anything from any store. Just a sales guy walks up to you and says, you just have to prove that you have sales. And if you're selling on eBay or Amazon or whatever, you can show those numbers really easily. It's not like, so.
I got an email from UPS, parcel service, not the, and I'm just saying for people listening, because, they go, I don't know. It was like, I guess I either started or had an account with them, and then they sent this email like saying, in a couple of weeks, we're going to delete your account if you don't use it or something like that.
Scare tactic. You do that all the time. They would do that to me when we had accounts. Because what it is they would cite, it used to be that a rep would be there, he'd have an area for like years. I want to say once they bought because UPS store wasn't UPS store before, it was mailboxes, etc. So once they did that, they started expanding, UPS.com got big, the reps started changing constantly changing. So once that started happening, that's when you get those emails, because maybe that rep's been there for a month and he doesn't know you. He's like, Louis, this guy, let me contact him. So they just shoot him out. They're salespeople. They're all salespeople. So
Got it. Okay.
So maybe you're using FedEx instead of UPS. So yeah. I'll
be honest, it always seems like UPS seems like it's a little bit more, or if it's cheap, I'd rather pay like an extra 50 cents and just stay where I don't have to go far, or I don't know.
What I would say with UPS and FedEx, the difference is always where you live. You are centrally located, being in central. You're not just in Texas; you're in Central Texas. So for you, I would say you have probably a lot of options. Someone like me being in California, it's based on volume of how much FedEx is doing. That's how they give me my rates. They can give me a better rate based on where I am and what my shipping is. So for you, you're going in any direction. So UPS, FedEx, your rates are probably gonna be very similar. They always do that anyway. Like it would be like, I'm gonna give you a 13.4% discount. Maybe FedEx will give you like a 13.2% discount. They always do it by discount. And then you have to go kind of work backwards and figure out what that even means.
Oh, I can't even start to think about this unless I'm dealing with it. It's like, it's like percentages, details, all this other,
It's all like, based off your own numbers. Nothing is set with these guys. It constantly changes. Every year there's an increase. Like,
so does our sales too. Like, God forbid, you have an emergency or something, you got to stop for 3 weeks or something, and then all of a sudden, what are they going to do? It's like, it's too corporate,
It's all corporate. I mean, like I said, these guys used to be so cool. I would know them. They would come in. There was this one guy. What was his name? I'm blanking on his name. But anyways, suit and tie, nines, really slick, like an old school salesman. He was an Asian gentleman, really nice, always with a smile. Came in, looked you in the eyes, shook your hand. Always had a gift.
That doesn't matter, but I like when somebody's,
my point is, he was always, he knew my name. After that, I want to say 08, especially after 08, I want to say the mid 2000s, when they constantly started to change people. They never knew your name. I get emails saying, "Oh, you should open up a UPS account." I'm like, I would email back sometimes. I've had one for 10 years. Maybe you should hear it. You want to give me a better rate? And no response. So
really,
yeah.
Did they get rid of him, or he just was brewed?
No, I think they get shifted around. And then I don't know I haven't been there. I haven't been doing this for years. I haven't had a corporate account for years.
Funny, even if he didn't respond to you, let's say he didn't get fired or anything or quit, and he moved to another division, he could just say, "Hey, let me move you to another guy." But that's, he just didn't even respond to you.
No,
he probably quit.
Oh yeah. And FedEx was even worse than that. I wouldn't even see people face to face. But then I got that. To be honest, that was commonplace after that. Nobody came in. And nobody came in and talked to you. It was always.
I had that same scenario. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you up. No, I had a similar kind of scenario where, because I was a sales and marketing rep for this one store club, and all the other merchants would come in there. Hey, can you do us a favor? Can you make sure this is prioritized? I'm like, well, that isn't within my limits. I can do it when I'm here. When I'm doing marketing, sales, programs, I'll do. But when I'm not here, I can't guarantee you it's going to be put on this pallet and on the shelf. And I can't guarantee you that. You have to talk to the managers so they would build these relationships. I'm like, can you talk to the manager? And I'm like, I can ask for you. I've got some paperwork. They're like, and then sometimes the manager's like, I don't have fucking time for that.
Exactly.
Or if I was, because I was, like I said, I worked for a division of Sam's, but we were hired. We were outside outside vendor, so to speak, that was representing a lot of vendors, So, and I can't remember the name of the program. They kept changing so much, and our company even jumped ship. So they begged me to jump to the other company, which I did, and I even got a raise out of it. I was sneaky. I was like, when I spoke to their, well, you're gonna be hired. Let's get this paper. I didn't say I was gonna join the team yet. I just wanted to know, what's my salary gonna be?
Yeah.
Well, what were you getting paid at the other place? And I said, well,
I hate that question. I can't.
And I'm like, I went, and I would always put it in the context. I said, I was okay, but I said, you know what? I was long overdue for a raise.
Yeah.
And, but I said, I didn't say exactly what I got, and I'm like, because they know that's a no-no. At the same time, you can't really kind of say, well, can I get So I just said, what is the salary is starting? Well, we were going to start you at this. And I'm like, oh, really? I said, I was seeing a different figure, and we played the ball game. But, well, what was your figure? Well, I was thinking between this and this, and, so they gave me, of course, I said a high or low, my low end, and they gave it to me. They're like, well, I'm like, I said, if you can reach that and maybe like $500 more on top of that, I may consider it, because if not, I have another lead. I'm interested. And I said, I need to know by, I gave them a date, like Friday or something. They're like, yeah, okay. They called me back. They're like, well, hold on, can we put you on hold? And she had to ask her. It's all about HR having to ask their manager, like, yeah, just hire them. It was like an extra $1,000, but I was like, yeah, that's an extra $1,000 in my, pocket.
Exactly. It's funny how they do. They're always going to lowball you initially, and then until you ask for what you're worth.
And when that case, they needed me to stay there.
Yeah.
I was a manager, a supervisor manager, and they knew that I knew. And the thing was, if I would have left, I told them, I said, a lot of my team is going to leave.
Yeah.
I said, so I think what I'm asking is very, on the low end is very fair. I think if you're reasonable, you really want to keep me for a long period of time, you know, be not only fair, but be, you know, generous.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what we can do. You know, I said, I'm not bragging. I said, I have a lot of experience here and I would love to, you know, go forward with the company. And, you know, but they're not about that. They're just like, you know, oh crap, can we keep the guy? You know, we got to do this, go forward, push. But after HR is done, they don't want anything to do with it. You're there, do their job for them. You know, it's like you said. And then like, you know what? A few months later, I told my supervisor, and she was like, "You're what?" And I'm like, "I got another job." I said, I'm going to give you my 2 weeks. I said, with all due respect, why did you wait? I said, actually, it's a little over 2 weeks. I'm telling you now, you know, and I'm willing to stay it through. You know, I had 2 weeks vacation. She didn't even give me some of that. I was so mad. So and she knew. She was like, "You didn't ask for your vacation." What's that?
I'm saying the fact that they were upset that you were, I mean, that shows that they needed you. I mean, if they were like, oh, okay, cool, you want to leave today, then obviously that's a different story. So.
Well, it was, yes, they needed me, but she needed me because she didn't want to be stuck with it. Because when like a project manager that does what I did is not there, she's got to come over there and cover it. And she never wanted to leave her home. She worked from home. Ugh. And so, and it was like, whatever, you know, it was like, you know, my story was easy, you know.
It's funny because my wife was when she left recently, 18 months ago, when she was leaving, they really gave her a hard time. They still call her back to this day. And then I remember the last couple of weeks, she said that her boss, had a turnover the last month she was there. So her new manager went and asked her she was in biotech, so very technical stuff. And then she said, I need all your notes and I need you to train X, Y, and Z, like 5 people to do
this what after she quit. After she quit?
I want to say the last 2 to 3 weeks she was there. It was all training. She had to train 5 people to do what she was doing, and she was just kept saying like, "Okay, so you're gonna have 5 people do what I did, and you want me to train them all in like 2.5 weeks? I mean, come on." And she still gets calls to this day. Oh, we're trying to do this. We're trying to use this. How does it? Still,
do they pay her? Do they pay her?
No, they're not legally allowed to do that, to be honest. They're not allowed to call her and ask her questions without paying her. And she even said that when she's all, you know, technically if HR found out you're doing this, you could, you know, get in trouble. You're not supposed to call me now. Like if I was still working, that'd be a different story. But I mean, they're her friends, some of them, so she just,
you know, companies really freaking got it. Like but what it is it's the mid management that's like I said, like my supervisor above me. You know, she would keep quiet. Don't tell the district manager. Don't tell the district, because then you know the division manager for like the whole division of all the districts, you know, would would blow up. So you know, it's like kind of that kind of thing. But like as soon as you leave, they were calling me to like, well, how did you do that? I'm like, I did it for 3 years. You never asked me. You didn't care. You just said, do your job. Yeah. Oh, when I left, guess what? They closed that marketing division. And I was like, and I'm not going to brag and say it was so much for me, but I ran a smooth ship. Like it was, I realized really quick how important relationships are, how extremely imperative communication was within those relationships.
Yeah.
That kept everybody quiet, and all the reports came in on time. I mean, you know, I was working beyond my, you know, I'm like, yeah, you want me to take pictures, show this marketing of this, you know, program, went through and everything was fine. And when I got people that wouldn't even help me, like I had a lead under me, you know, like, and he was lazy. He's like, well, am I going to get paid? Am I supposed to do this? You know, I'm like, really? Serious? What do you want me to do? Let you do it on your hours? You know, it's like,
it's all about the, I guess, the bottom, and it kind of depends, like on the size of the company. I've worked at companies where there's like me and the owner, and I worked where there's, you know, thousands of people. And I remember I was at Cisco, and I was at nothing low. I was like 20 years old, and then they basically would cut the bottom 10% no matter what. No matter what, if they're having a great year, a terrible year, they would cut the lowest 10%. And they would do this to a lot of the middle management because it wasn't, you know, you're not going to get rid of a CEO like that. And the lower the worker, someone like me, who's getting paid peanuts anyway, that doesn't.
You know, and they don't care because it's always about the mid-management playing like we're doing our job. Hey, district manager, I got all my guys to do this. Yeah, because they're the peons, and it's like as soon as you don't do it, then they act rude and mean and mad. You know, so everything is like, you know, because I was watching, I laughed because it reminded me of corporate. There was a stupid channel I was flipping through, looking for where's the weather. There's no weather, and I'm flipping through, and then this guy was training a dog, and you know he was like this dog. You've probably seen the guy, but anyway, he's telling this lady because you don't have control over that dog, you know, because, and you know, and it's like he's like, well, what is your job? And he tells her, and she's like, well, I'm a manager over. You know, he's like, when your people don't listen to you, like we're talking, you know, versus the dog. Like when the dog doesn't listen to you, what happens? You know, you get anxiety. Look at your body language and this and that. So he was just giving her a really definitive moment. She's like, oh yeah. She's like, well, what do you do when your coworkers that you may help manage when they don't follow order? He's like, oh, I get pissed. I get very pissed. He's like, exactly. And do they follow through? You know, it's a little resistance, but you know, but it's not easy. And I'm like, he's like, why, you know, so he's like, when you're training the dog, you need to show him that you're in charge. And it's all about your body language and, you know, how you hold the leash and this and that. So it's like, you know, they want you to micromanage at the same time. And I'm like, but we're, you know, we're not pets, you know? So I was like, kind of a, you know, I get it from a manager's perspective. That's why I was always like, hey, do you want to move up? I'm like, nah, I'm okay.
Yeah. You know? Management track and everything else is different because you're never going to be the CEO. I mean, I guess you could be, but you always be in that kind of middle section. So,
right.
I mean, I guess it depends where you go. Good money.
Oh, bro, you know, it's like, yeah, I don't miss the corporate thing. I'm good at it in some ways, but it's a lot of stress. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I was not good at it. I remember.
I think I think you would. It just, you know, it's just a change of like direction of where your thinking is, you know. You could be good.
Yeah, the thing is I get set in a certain way. And I think another thing that's changed me is probably maybe the reselling thing in general, but the idea of being a solopreneur, which is not, I'm not advocating that at all. You should always, you know, reach out and work with other people and whatever. But I kind of got used to that a lot. So
yeah, it's really learning to get even the people that annoy you and you don't get along. You know, there's slackers in there. Just really kind of staying on the neutral. What's that?
And it's inevitable that you're going to meet people that you do and you don't get along with. It just is.
Yeah, but like when they need you, you just kind of like are not there for them. You know what I mean? They'll get the pictures like, oh, you know. And I had them like come up to me. They're like very demanding, like my corporate's coming today. And they're like, whoa. First of all, so please don't raise your voice to me. Second of all, like when I've asked you to help me in the past, you know, they don't like that because I'm direct like that. And they're like, damn, you know, now you're an a-hole. I'm like, oh, I'm an a-hole now because I didn't help you when you never were there for me. Name one time you were there for me. And they would go, well, no, my people are always there. You know, I'm like, no. I had to ask them. But when I asked you, you weren't there. You were ghosting. You know, and they go, oh, it's like this now. And I go, oh, what do you mean it's like this now? It's, I'm just defining a moment. You need me to stop everything I'm doing when I'm in the middle of an audit, you know. It's just the same stuff. It's just like, you know.
Yeah, it's a song.
And showing them you don't lose your cool. That's the main thing. Like I never lost my cool, but I've seen people lose their shit and start throwing stuff. And I just like, I'm like, hey, do me a favor. And they're like, what? You know, I'm like, throw a tantrum somewhere else. I got better things to do. You know, you're on camera, by the way. And then they kind of walk away, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand if they're going like into the tissue room. We used to call it the tissue room, where basically that room where you get fired or let go, as they like to say. But I can kind of understand that a little bit. But I remember one of my first jobs, I was at a startup, and we were all like 19, like early. It was early on, and then
I remember you said that one guy said, "You can go now."
Yeah, it wasn't one of us. They let, I want to say 6 or 8 of us go at one time because we would. I had a cubicle, and there was this long white room. And the way I describe this room, and I still see it in my dreams sometimes, it's kind of scary.
That is scary.
Yeah, they did zero work. Like just imagine like you've seen Office Space, right? So they have these. It was a long white room, and one door at the end where there was a phone, and it was completely white on the inside. Other than that door, I remember one day, for whatever reason, somebody locked the door on the outside. So I remember one of my coworkers in there is all right, this is like that milk commercial where you can't get milk. Are we like in hell right now? Literally, it's a white room. We're stuck here with these just 7 other random people and computers.
I would have shut up and walked out,
No windows, one door that's locked. So that room, my point to that was right next to the tissue room, the boardroom, where they just have people come in there. And obviously, eventually we went in there too. But we were laughing and joking. But I saw people come out. I saw, one person nearly had a heart attack.
What?
You see, well, we didn't see it, but I saw the paramedics run in. Like he goes in there. Obviously, it was we're having, I don't know how long you've been there for. We're letting you go. And you see paramedics run in.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's not for the weak at heart. That's will say that much for the faint at heart. But thank God my last job, I lived in New York. I learned to toughen up in New York. People think people are mean. I'm like, no, what I learned is just be direct and just cut the BS. And my boss even said, she's like, it took me a while, Louis. She's like, but I realized I understand your managing style. She's like, I'm like, oh, and you said you've been doing this for like 30 years and you're just now figuring out what's like, but you're very good with people. It's like, but you're very direct too. And you're clever about, you're not rude, but you're also like, let's cut the bullshit, I'm like, well, I said, do you have time? She's like, nope, I appreciate it. She's like, get to the point, and I'm like, what do you want from me? I'm like, yeah, it's why you hired me, right?
It sounds like you should have been in management. To me, I mean, get straight to the point. That's basically all they want in management. Get it done as fast.
I will say impatience was my a little bit of a push button. Sometimes I'm like, come on, guys, if you're not going to do this, you're not getting work next week. I'm not going to put you on you can't do that. I'm like, I can do whatever I want in scheduling. If we only got 3 listings, you're not going to be one of the people in the lineup. And then you're going to ask me, well, when am I going to get some more hours? And oh God, I hated the turnover too. Like when I hired people, I stopped my boss and I said, why didn't you hire that person? You said you interviewed somebody. I'm like, do you want somebody that's not going to show up? This is a no show up person. This is a pothead that's going to come in every day and cause scrutiny and then go cut their finger and then go get medical. You want that? No. I'm like, well, just try them. And I'm like, yeah, just try them. I'm like, nah. So I said, okay. I'd lie. Sometimes I'd say, yeah, okay, I'll push it through. Well, whatever happened? They never showed up. It's like, well, this is like, why? I'm like, what do you mean, why? I told you I assumed as much. And I'm like, when they don't answer phone calls, what do you want? Give me their number. I'll call them. She'd call them and they would never answer.
See, you went through a slightly I never really, I've done hiring, but I've only done it when I did the shipping store that was it. So I never did it on a corporate level. It was always, I'm the one. So
she was supposed to do most of it, but she threw that shit in my lap, and I was like, I was trying to stay on her good side. Like one day I heard her vent. Like she would call me at night. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm drinking a bottle of wine. Like, this is getting too personal, and then she would just, and I'm like, I'm not even getting paid to talk to you. This is about work. I don't want to talk to you.
Exactly.
So I stopped answering phones. It was just, I don't know.
But I remember, most of the hiring stories I've heard are through my wife. It's funny. It's slightly different in biotech than tech because it was more about, they needed somebody obviously that had that background, had the right degree and all that. But at the same time, they would do these group interviews, like mini group. They take 3 of them, would take whoever the prospective.
Sometimes they can seed out people. Like if you do that's what I should have started doing was like towards the end, get 2 or 3 people. Hey, and then when you see the guy, I'm the cool guy. No, you're not. You're not. Get out. You're not the cool guy anymore. You're just, you're trying to impress.
Yeah, they suss you out.
Yeah. It's like you're trying to be the cool kid in high school and you're not even hired yet, and you're trying to impress somebody that I haven't hired yet either. It's like, go, get lost. And it's like, I see what you're up to.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, and the funny thing is, they would get. I think she said they would get the second interview. Obviously, they don't do the initial hire,
Yeah.
but then they would basically kind of be the. There are 3 interviews. They would do the second one. They take them out to eat, and they would base it on, is this person going to be good? Because we're going to have to eat lunch with this person. Are they going to be good to eat lunch with? And that, as long as they have the right, background and all that, that's how they would base their.
I love it. No, but think about it, because in a way it bleeds back into work, and you want to get along with the people you're going to work. Yeah. So my friend, you're like this because you said you're a computer techie.
I wasn't like Carl, the lazy reseller says he's a programmer. I was not a programmer. So I was on a slightly less technical side of IT. Yeah.
Remember we were talking about Texas and how all these corporations are moving from, anyway, yada, yada. Well, Dell is here, right? Dell Corporation. Yeah. It's been here for quite some time. They're right north of Austin, and they have anyway. So my friend, he still works. I haven't reached him out in a while, but he is so nice. He'd always give me computers. Actually, the one I'm using, up here, you can't see because I'm using my phone, but gives me stuff all the time. It's always Dell. And it's he gets so much stuff. But this guy is in charge of, what's the division? He's got this really, and he told me he changed his job not too long ago. He said it's so much less stressful because he was working in the division that creates the AI stuff for a lot of computers and things like that. And a lot of the little inside quirky things that Dell doesn't want to tell you about, but 2 or 3 years in advance. So they're it's kind of like a little quiet invention, department. Yeah. And, he was a little bit bragger, but he was a good guy. I loved him. And he was like, yeah, I met Michael Dell today. I'm like, well, yeah, he probably barely looked at you, dude. He's like, yeah, he goes through and he just, what is the point? Okay, good, next.
That would crack me. That kind of stuff, they love doing that in IT companies. Like the CEO of Cisco would run through the
dollar in time.
He wouldn't talk to anybody. He wouldn't make eye contact with anybody, but he would jog around. I want to say once a month, they say, oh, look, he's out running again. I'm like, after the second or third time, I don't care. It's all for show. He doesn't know who we are. He's not going to stop and say anything to us. He just runs around.
He just needs to get his heart rate up because his blood pressure, whatever. Who gives a crap?
Yeah.
Yeah. Call me when he falls down and has a heart attack. I'll want to videotape that. That's so wrong.
I don't even know his name, but I remember seeing him jog around the parking lot.
Oh Lord. Oh hey Topher, how's it going, man? San Francisco, how cold is it there, bro? Is it cold in Sacramento, Mo?
It was 35 when I started. Let me see weather right now.
Yeah.
It's probably 37 right now.
Oh wow, you guys got a little chilly.
Yeah,
I could feel it's not that cold because my AC is not going off. I got a show today to do with Luis in about 4 hours, so I was thinking about going out and sourcing. And believe it or not, I'm an hour late at my honey hole. They always do on Mondays. They do 50. It's at Thrift Town. They do 50% off at least in different color tags. And stupid me, last week I missed out on the purple tag, which is 60% off. And I go, look, there's nothing. You know.
Do they still do the points there? The points system?
I still have a card, and she's like, you can't use that card anymore. Like, come on. But now what they do is they use your phone number to steal the points. Yeah. So they do
I had 1,000 points there. I've never used
that.
I have 1,000 points or 1,500 points. Something ridiculous. So
Dude, can I just say something? I don't waste time. Last time she's like, you got $5 off. And I'm like, then when I accumulate, she's like, yeah. Or do you want the $3 off, one of $10 or more today? And I'm like, I save the one that I use on days that I don't get the percentages off. So I'm I look at what I have and I'm like, yeah, this isn't worth taking $5 off. It's not if it's a high end, a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Creep it down a little bit, but give me my $3. I'll save that because I can accumulate it. Like you said, but dude, if you can find another thrift town, come and use it, dude. I don't know where it is.
I went from having a bunch of thrift towns around me to none because I was in Fremont. They had a big one in Fremont for years. I knew the people. I would go in the back. They knew me. I would go behind the counter. They thought I worked there. I was there so much. So, I really knew them. They shut down, I want to say 2017. And then all the Sacramento ones, they all shut down. I think they're 100%
The one in Sacramento closed this year, I think. Yeah, it was this year it closed.
Recently. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of sad to hear that. I don't know. I was kind of like, reseller. I'm a nerd. I'm like, yeah, thrift town. Nobody knows about it. It's my little niche. And but the thing was, they the franchise somehow divided off, and like California wouldn't. So basically, I was getting emails from California, and I would use their coupons about 4 or 5 years ago, and then like all of a sudden, like a year or 2 or 3 ago, guys like, you can't use it. I'm like, why? He goes, it's got to be from New Mexico or Texas.
Oh, so it's completely different. Because I gotta say, they had the best discounts. I mean,
they still do. They still have pretty good ones. Like when you find something, you still don't pay a lot.
Yeah. I remember I bought one time. I went there and they had the old 5 1/4 inch discs, like computer discs. Like the black ones with a hole in the middle of them.
Oh,
they had
yeah.
150, just shy of 150 of them. I took an entire shopping cart, and they barely had shopping carts there. They had a few of them. I filled the entire thing up, and I bought all of them. And I used my discount. They were $2, and I had like 30% off. So I got them for under $2 a piece. I put them on Amazon. Yeah. They sold for $30 a piece. I mean, it took.
Isn't it great? Oh my God! Yeah, I did that the other day, but I think it's gonna sit there. They were just like, oh, what was the company? I'm trying to remember what it was. If I told you to go, yeah, it's a shoe company. It's Swiss or whatever. Anyway, so like I bought some, what do you call it? Bands. Okay. Yeah, they're like 29 cents each, but I was like, whatever, if I sit on $5, I don't give a crap. But like, I'm trying to flip them, but nobody wants yellow right now. Like they had these other colors, but not at the place I was at selling online. So I'm like, I'll be the only guy selling yellow. Who knows? Lower the. It's like it, and it doesn't cost anything to send.
See it, like, Carl.
Something this small, like this is like so tiny. Look how tiny that little envelope is. It's not even big as my hand.
I love small things. People always discount small things. Like I just did a little video on like doll clothing. This thing right here, I haven't packed yet. It weighs.
Yeah, I saw you listing it. I was like, that looks big, but like the way you took the photo. But I was like,
yeah, I think I did a bad job.
A lot of money.
Somebody on Instagram.
No, it's fine. You got to look at it.
No, the funny thing is on Instagram, somebody said, "Oh, I really want to get into selling clothing. Is it hard?" And I had to stop. I had to say, "Wait a second. Well, this is doll clothing."
That's when you put like a quarter next to it. You got to put a quarter next to it.
In my picture, that's what I have. I think.
Or if the quarter's too glary, put a penny. You know what I mean? By the way, I just caught this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I said I just put a ruler there a lot of times, but no, go ahead.
Yeah, a ruler's a good measure, so to speak. And then, no, I was just gonna say I saw your video. Is his last name Perez or what was the guy's last name?
Paul Perez. Yeah.
Dude, I keep seeing him and like I don't know what it was. I just haven't been able to catch up and watch. I caught a couple, but there's the last one you did like about was it a week ago or more? You did one on a movie.
Yeah.
I totally love that stuff, dude. And then I looked and I was like, holy crap, he's got like 15,000 views on it,
He's a smart guy, like Paul. I've known him for years. I interviewed him, I want to say 3 years ago, the first time. And then
he's smart. Yeah, he knows his stuff. Yeah.
And then like he's having me listen to like we're gonna do some upcoming episodes on all kinds of other stuff. He's intellectually on a different level than I am. So
does he like movies? Is that his thing?
Part of his thing. He likes a lot, kind of a well-round, like this, not this week. I think the next 2 or 3 weeks after this, we're going to be doing some interviews on, it's not even, I don't even know how to describe it. It's more on like the world and business and kind of how they think about moving forward and all this kind of, I don't even know how to put it in words. I'll have him.
Dude, if you got room for a guest, let me know. Cause that guy is brilliant. Yeah. And you guys really vibe together nicely. Yeah. You guys, but if you ever do something like that, let me know.
Podcast. Let me put his.
Oh, that's right. Do you usually link the podcast on your YouTube when you do the post? Okay.
Every time anyone comes on, I always have like in the description. I should say that, but I always put everybody's info, or I try and put a picture in the info, whatever I can.
It's a good practice if you can.
It's only. I mean, I think it's only fair if somebody's taking the time to show up, and even
Oh
if
yeah, I think it's more than it's common courtesy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So where is his podcast?
Because he's taking his time out of his day and stuff and chilling out with you. That's cool.
And to be honest, it's just a lot of fun with Paul. His sensibility, we kind of have the same mindset. Even though he's from New Jersey, he's from that.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, he reminds me a lot of dudes I used to chill out with and hang out with in Queens and Brooklyn and stuff like that.
Yeah,
just
he's
chill
like
guy.
he's a what do you call it? His main thing is he likes art and he likes dance and music.
Dude, get me on with him because like him and I'll talk art all day. Yeah.
He likes all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'll send him a message. He's kind of on the let me see. I'll put out his thing, so I'll let him do his own talking. So where is
no. I'll come see you guys when you talk live next time. I don't know why I don't catch it, or is it pre-recorded?
It's not pre-recorded. We do it. We don't. We have a live streaming thing going. We don't have people coming on there, but we're gonna do one tomorrow at 10. Actually, I think I put the thing up. So,
but it's not gonna be on YouTube right away. Like it's dipped into YouTube later, right?
No, it's on YouTube.
Okay. Oh, come on.
But yeah, where is his thing? I can't find it. I'm looking for his podcast link.
No, I started going back on yours and watching some of them. I'll find it, dude. Don't worry about it. I mean, link it up. Yeah. But he's he's a brilliant dude. Tell him I said I appreciated hearing him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like getting me to listen to different thinkers.
Good.
Like Paul Altucher, I think it's. I'm sure I'm probably butchering.
Oh, wow, he liked Paul Altucher. Okay.
He's big on him, like really. And I tried. So he sent me his links. Paul Altucher's links, like a month ago, and I said, okay, let's see what this is about, because I think they mentioned they're talking about e-commerce.
So you entertained his thought. Yeah.
And then I was listening to it, and then I was listening, and I had to stop because whoever he was interviewing was talking, but everything he said, I had to take a double take with, because it was really on the money. Like he was talking about Amazon, but he wasn't talking about it. He was talking about like things like what they call it, a wall garden economy, that how they set it up, similar to Apple's. So I really had to stop and listen to what these guys were talking about, because
I love it.
It was going to a different level where I actually had to think about what they were saying, as opposed to just letting it kind of like
people don't want to think. So it's all about a higher consciousness. I guarantee if you mention him the word higher consciousness, he'd be like, now you're getting it. Now you're fucking getting it. It's like, so you and I talk about things, we kind of go in a little deeper too. It's like, it's not the fake facade that's here. It's really what's behind the curtain.
Exactly. You need to add, because I'm not, I'm not on their level or anything, but I think sometimes a lot of
dude, you got it, and you got it, dude. It's contemplating constantly, and really just at least entertaining the thought. At least entertain the thought, even if you don't think you get it on an intellectual level, but on a conscious level is a whole different thing. Like you can think consciously and get it here, and you go, I don't understand exactly, but I get it in theory. But I don't understand it 100%. But as long, they don't care, it's like people that want to talk conscience, levels, like you said, level up. Let's just have a dialogue, because then when you entertain it,
you just described my entire bachelor's career, because because it was a group of us. It was like, I want to say like 8 to 10 of us, and I would say 9 out of 10 they were on a different level. They're all like half of them were on a programming track, like really like super. Like I took like all the math classes and programming classes, I was like really having a hard time with, and these guys were breezing through it like it was nothing. And
there's those different thinkers that use different parts of the brain. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say they just kind of locked in, and they're like, oh, okay, and like I could see, like I would kind of turn around, because I hated sitting in the classroom, so I'd watch other people a little bit. I'd see, and you can kind of tell usually who gets it, who doesn't, just by looking at them. And that was kind of like, they were like, the guys putting up their hands saying, oh, actually, could you do it? Yeah. And I was like struggling with notes, and just, it was on a different level. So that's the kind of thing, like being on that.
Yeah, a lot of it is like coming into ease and then really just becoming familiar with vocab and just, really a lot of it too. Sometimes it sounds how not it's not cliche, but it's just it sounds kind of like, well, yeah, of course, but it's not to ever overthink things, even the most complex of algorithms or philosophical quandaries or whatever, because sometimes it's like taking step back into like that younger kind of self and go, you remember when you really wondered about those things that were deep, insights into the universe, and you're like, wonder what that's all about,
Exactly.
What is synchronicity about, what is, or just whatever you're talking about, you're like, but sometimes we get in this, we get programmed. So it's like, sometimes it's actually deprogramming. It's like that de-stressing. It's kind of like not overthinking it. It's like meditating. And it's like, those guys probably like are just so exercised up there. They got a different kind of muscle memory. In addition to, yeah, they've been doing it for years. And like you said, it comes natural to them. Trust me, there's some guys that they'll just kind of play it off and then they'll go home and study their ass off for like 10 hours reading it on the toilet. You're going, shit, oh, now I get it, boom. Or they'll call their buddy, what was that about? Oh, I thought you understood. No, just wait. But how do you look at it? Like this or like this, And then, there's, and it's like, it's always just trying to stay up on that 2-notch level. But like that's why I never liked academia, because sometimes it was about how fast can we push all this information in an hour? No.
I really think, and I can't push this enough, I don't care where you live, what your background is, but the environment you have around you, like the people that are talking to you, and it's got nothing to do with, specifically where you live. But if you surround yourself, at least maybe even through TV or through what you listen to on whatever.
Yeah. And now with technology, you got no excuse. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember my brother's friends. Now they were on a different plane because he's a doctor. So I remember he would talk to me about being in med school, and he would say that I think that he's on a different level than me. He would talk about people that would literally, he would say they wouldn't study at all, but they would show up and they would know everything. And literally, it's just a big memorization thing when it comes to. He said, going through med school, you just have to have an awesome memory. If you have an awesome memory and you just get it, that's it. You're done.
It is to some extent, but it's also the what we always talk about in, like, whether it's in Buddhism or whatever, there's I call it contemplative way of life. There's the spiritual aspect, like whether they're monastics or whatever, in Buddhist, there's a lot of monastics too. And so other mystical traditions, but it's like, you can talk and think and understand on one level, but your wisdom, if you don't experience it. So like these doctors are like, okay, I know what we're here to talk about today. We're going to be dissecting this heart and how to remove this specific valve. And so in theory, they learned about it. Like you said, those are the practical thinkers that can academically go into it, profusely, like just say, I know in theory how to do it. It's that, remember I was saying in theory, but they just need to stand there and go, oh shit, he just cut that out like that. Oh, okay. Why did you use that knife? What do you think? Didn't you read that, section of the book where sometimes you have to do, so it's like constant. But there's guys that are so cocky and confident, they don't give a shit, and they go, I'll figure out when I get to that point, and they'll call,
Yeah, he said he would be studying his ass off, literally like 18 hours a day, and then there'd be these guys that, like you said, they had it. They're just like, okay, we get that. They do a little bit of light studying, and they would be the top guys in the class or gals in the class.
I think it's everybody studies differently.
Yeah.
Everybody learns is in the same way that everybody learns differently. So depending on how their learning ability can congruently kind of like attach all that information, is your learning digestion is going to be like, oh, okay, it's like it's like the grieving process. Everybody's going to grieve.
That's a great way to describe it. Learning digestion. I like that, because that's 100% correct. Because not everyone, and it's not even about listening at that point. Not everyone can just take in that amount. Maybe
it's almost very dietary. It's like, do you want to take that aspect of the information? Do you need to digest that right now, or can you put that off to the side? And like, some people don't want their peas to touch their carrots. Well, whatever. I don't give a shit. The thing is, are you going to eat this and digest it? And if you don't like it, what are you going to put in place? Because I can't eat that. I'm lactose. I don't want, so to speak, that bit of information. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat that because I'm going to have an allergic reaction to the way, like, thinking about it like that. I can't do, like, my friend, he couldn't do anything unless he had them on index cards. Don't ask me why. He would cut out his book and he put the shit on.
Everything is about index cards. Index cards up to wazoo. I mean, these things.
He would spend 90% putting it on index cards, but once they were on the index card, he said 10% of he's like, boom. It just, once he read it, it was in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't get it, And I'm like, you spend all this freaking time. And I'm like, you spend time more on making index. I know, but as I'm doing it, I do read it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But you know what? He got his A's and B's. So.
Yeah, it's funny because I kind of feel like I've got a cross section of friends from every walk of life. So like it's funny you said index cards. That's my sister's. She's a lawyer, so that was her.
Oh
really
God! You got doctors and lawyers. Shoot, yeah, you had high expectations pressuring you. God, that's.
I mean, yes and no. Actually, my mom was very, very good about. She would always say, "Oh, you're the smart one." I think she said that half tongue in cheek, but it was just kind of just being surrounded by. That's why I say, if you're just surrounded by people, my family's very down to earth. They not really kind of like. If you looked at them, you talked to them, then you wouldn't be able to tell what they did at all. It's just.
I love people like that. Yeah, I meet people like that, especially. Kind of sounds like a Bay Area kind of thing. It's almost like that. It's that derivative of the, like the hippie vibe was like nobody wanted to be pretentious. They didn't wear suits and ties, even though a lot of the hippies were like doctors. I mean, like really good, deep thinkers, philosophers, and people like so much negated that time frame. And it's like there was a deep history there. Yeah, there was some,
Steve Jobs was unbelievably. He's into all this, that, and the other. I mean, if you look at him pre, I don't know, 1980, he's like going off to India. He's living in a, whatever. But
I didn't know he went to India, really?
Pretty sure. I mean, I don't know that much about
that would make sense because that time frame, my pastor, who's now since retired, he almost became a Hindi. And like and his teacher there was the teacher of, have you heard of Ram Dass?
I have. Vaguely,
so Ram Dass was, and when I mention this, you're going to be like, oh my God. Ram Dass and Tim Leary were like in school. Was it Stanford? No, what's the one on the East Coast? Harvard? Is it Harvard?
Could be Harvard, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Harvard. And they got kicked out because they were doing experiments on higher consciousness, but of course they were using, stuff. But the thing is now, like, people are looking for those papers to put in the library to store, and then now that university wants credit for everything they did, even though they kicked them out.
Yeah.
But this guy was like always about the higher consciousness. He was a doctorate and whatnot. He went to India, and this guy was like dropping like little squares of acid all the time. And his guru goes, "Show me, you got." And if he used like a certain word, he's like, "Give me." And he's like, "No." He's like, "This is enough to like kill a horse." He's like, "More." And he kept doing it. He goes, and the guy was like really calm, and he goes, "Look at me." He says, and the guy was already like, and he's like, "You don't need this. You don't need this. You just need this." He's like, "You don't need that." And he's like, "And go back to your, he's like, he just basically says, if you want to go into a deeper consciousness, you just need to meditate and light yourself and learn every day. Learn something new."
Exactly.
So like the teacher basically told him, you don't need this to go to that area. You can get there, but it's just, you got to go on your own ability. And it's like, do you want to learn, or do you want to, like, in life? So I'm not advocating anything. Sorry.
No. You're right. Where does your motivation come from?
It would just, it is. It's like, where does your motivation come from? That's kind of what that guru was telling him. It's like, this guy was like a phenomenal guru. Like he taught a lot of people that came to him, but he's also taught him, like, just be yourself. Kind of like you said, my family's just very nonchalant. Like, it's not about this outer exterior, like what we put up, this fake plasticity. So like when East meet West, like I totally got it. Like you'd be surprised. My community is very open-minded. Like there are a lot of like Eastern practices that we incorporate, what we do. And it's like, you can go into my daughter's what used to be. She's already graduate, but like in her spiritual room, where like they call it the preteen room.
Okay.
You go in there, you have Ganesha, and you'll have, you know, a Bodhisattva. You'd have a, you know, this or that, and it was just a great thing. You know, it's like I taught my daughter, you respect all religions. You know, you don't have to subscribe to them, but in order to know your religion or your spiritual, you know, tradition and path, you know, it all comes down to one thing, and it sounds very hippie like, but it is about, you know, like love and whatnot.
Well,
and,
that's kind of like, that sounds like my elementary school actually. They were all, you know, you're talking about like 1980s here, so all the teachers there were, you know, of the 60s, and either beatnik or a little bit past it, like hippie-ish, but the same very kind of free thinking mentality.
Yeah.
So we learned about every single religion. I remember we would celebrate Passover, like we'd celebrate Hindu festivals, like Baha'i.
But you would probably take the parts that were like very commonality, kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they won't go too far into it, but I mean, they would like literally. I remember standing in line getting apples dipped in honey, and we would do that like every year.
Nice.
And we'd go to like Hindu festivals. We go to.
Oh, I love it.
We were in literally the church that was, I want to say, half a mile away from the school. We would all walk there. They didn't have a giant congregation, so there are 10 of us. We were in the church choir.
Wow.
I'm saying like circa 1985. So, and it wasn't done in a super religious way. The pastor, the vicar, they called him, was very open and friendly. He was happy to have people there. I remember playing the clarinet, and like it was just, you know, a mixture of different people. So I mean, it's all mindset.
Awesome.
I mean, you know, just, you know, how you think about things.
Was that in UK or US?
Yeah, I was in the UK, not in the US. I came here in 7th grade, so that was probably 3rd, 4th, and 5th, maybe even 6th grade. Those last 3-4 years. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it was interesting. So, yeah, we don't have it there, and we played. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Finish what you're saying.
No, I was saying that I remember we went there, and it was so sad. We had one person in our class that passed away. She was on vacation during the summer, like in Greece. There was some kind of fire. I still remember her face too. So then they had the funeral, like at the church, and we all sang and played, and it was weird, but we were like, it was like a mini little community with and it's a public school I'm talking about. It's not a private school or like a religious school of any kind. But at the same time, they didn't push religion. But
there's this community, though. That to me is, you know, could be very spiritual. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I remember seeing, like, that's another thing. I think it started because the vicar came and saw us. They had assemblies every morning. We'd all sit there, and we would sing all kinds of different songs. A lot of them were like late '60s songs, but some of them were kind of religious songs. Like a lot of Cat Stevens as well, and the Beatles and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. You know, but I mean, it was kind of indicative of its time. Meaning, it's like it's only like 10 years later, you know, even 15, 20. But you know, it's But you know what's funny is like I could never stand Joni Mitchell and this and that. And one day there was one song I heard somebody sing by a Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, and
it blew me away. And I went, "What is that song? That's such a beautiful song." And it's because I was able to hear it in the voice of somebody else, and the context a little bit different in terms of music style. They're like, "That's Joni Mitchell." I'm like, "That's a Joni Mitchell song?" I'm like, "What?" And then I started looking up Joni Mitchell songs, and I didn't realize how many people did renditions of hers. And
she was a writer, and like so. I mean, people, around that time. I mean, obviously, you know better than me, but it was kind of like people would stay around for like. There's a lot of people like Joni Mitchell. Like, I'm not a big Joni Mitchell fan either. I gotta admit.
Yeah, I'm not a super, but I highly respect her. Yeah, highly respect.
I mean, these guys would like that whole group. I want to say like not even the 60s, maybe early 70s to early 80s. Yeah, a lot of them were kind of famous for being famous, but also because they wrote, and other, like you said, other people took their stuff and maybe did a better job with it.
And who they collaborated with, like she collaborated with, you know, was it Dylan or whatever, you know?
All of those, I'm sure everyone collaborated with Dylan.
I mean, they were all kind of in the same, thing. And then like she was actually, I think she was part of Woodstock too. So, but Joni, I'm glad that you have this awareness about her, you know. And it's like it was. I'll be honest. If you get a chance, listen to her version of it. But if you can find every other, what do they call it when somebody does a version of another song? It's
not a retake.
Yeah, there's a term, you know what I mean. But anyway, look up that one that Joni Mitchell does. It's always played during Christmas time. It is the most depressing like lyrics, but it's beautiful. Like it's like you listen to it. It's not emotional in a way that kind of pulls you, but it can be. But like it's just a beautiful love song, and it's like it's you hear the Christmas melody kind of come up in it, but then she just like you said, she's a really good storyteller, so she's a great writer. And then one day I fell into I like all music. Okay, I mean, when I say I like all, I like from classical to hip hop to whatever, and I was listening to. I think he's a brilliant musician. People kind of go, "Oh, him is what is his name? Oh gosh, he was in that group with Gnarls Barkley.
Oh, I can see his face.
CeeLo.
I saw him live. Yeah. I saw them live.
I saw him live, and what impressed me most about him, probably that's the only reason I listened to this one. He did a version of Joni Mitchell's song once, and it's because the guy has a voice. Like he's got these power lungs that are like, it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's very R&B-ish, kind of like.
I heard him live. He just need a microphone.
He hardly needs a microphone. And the one year I'll never forget, like he broke me down. He did a rendition of a Radiohead song.
Okay.
That was from In Rainbows. That
he's got that.
What's that?
He's got that range, and it's not just like certain people can hit a note, but they don't have any power behind it.
You hit it on the nose.
He can hit the note and hold it and kind of push and kind of go in different directions. Yeah. So definitely.
Well, and in addition to it, this is when he was like he did do another year when I used to go to a lot of like festivals. So he did himself as CeeLo. That was like the solo album, but just before he did that, because remember he was with a lot of like what's that?
He did that song with Danger Mouse, right? His big.
Well, that's what I mean. That's Gnarls Barkley is with Danger Mouse. That's so Danger Mouse did Gnarls Barkley. He did that thing with the there's another group that he's only done two.
Yeah.
Oh, the Shins. I think it's the Shins.
I think
yeah, but I mean, he's collaborated with so much, but like, so when he did that range in his voice, and then you got Danger Mouse like playing awesome percussions and piano, keyboards and stuff. They were orchestrating this thing, But he did this Joni Mitchell song one time, and I was like, oh my God, CeeLo. Once again, that range came up, like it was from like a male perspective, as opposed to hearing Joni Mitchell's very feminine side of it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I don't know why I thought of it, but I don't know if you remember the Lilith Fair.
God, people laugh at me. I had to tell my daughter what that meant. Why it was a Lilith Fair. Yeah.
You know why I remember it most? Because I hate to say it, but it was when I was either the end of high school, beginning of college, around that time, and all of my friends, we didn't really like the music as much, but we liked that it was going to be about 70% female there. So
there was. I'm trying to remember all the female names, but I remember like Mazzy Star would show up and Tori Amos and all the female singers. It was Lilith Fair,
Yeah. So I mean, that's I know
girls.
I know people that met there and they got married eventually. So that's it was a big deal for about 2 years, I guess. But
I was surprised it didn't last longer. I think they tried to do one not too long ago. Somebody said they did one in the 2000s. It didn't do good.
Yeah, Sarah McLachlan, that was the other one.
Oh my God, they ran her crap in the ground. I hate
to say it, but I just think about like the Society for Inhumane Dog Treatment whenever I think of her.
You know who said that the other day? DC Picker was on. He's like, "Oh God, put on a Sarah McLachlan picture and show me some." She did it to herself. She's probably getting so much money for that. That's sad.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I've heard she's a fabulous person, so I don't want to knock her. But
no, I'm not knocking her. But I would love to see her do more.
I know what you mean, though. I can't not think of that commercial when I think of. You say Sarah McLachlan, I think of a dog, not like she is, but
the commercial that she sponsors. Yeah,
exactly. But
So the name of that song, look it up when you get a chance, but then type in CeeLo, because it's actually the letter C and then but it's the Joni Mitchell song is called River.
I just saw that because I typed in Joni Mitchell Christmas song and River popped up. So then, so CeeLo's version of River.
Try it. Well, yeah. I mean, then you can go back and listen to her and you go, well, that. And I've heard so many people since then going, oh, Joni Mitchell, when she did that song, they talk about it on different levels. Like you said, her range, her style of writing, what the context of that song was about, just everything, the context of the time she wrote it, just like who would think to write a song like that? That is now is an anthem. Every time I hear Christmas songs, if I turn the radio on, that's usually playing. And I never understood why, but it was like, okay.
Well, Christmas songs aren't necessarily about Christmas. A lot of times they just happen to be out in England. I think it's still this way. It's always the big deal is the Christmas number one. Like, have you ever seen that movie with Hugh Grant in it? And it's a Christmas type movie. It's got what's his name, like Liam Neeson's in it. It's one of those, with a bunch of people in it, and the whole thing is one of the guys is trying to be the Christmas number one. That's like a big deal. I think it's still a big deal in England. Be the number one. Just on Christmas Day, if you're number one, it's like a big deal. I'm sure it's because of record sales, but also because they would go on top of the Pops, which I don't think is even around anymore. And
it was a goal set, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So because I grew up with that whole thing, it was a big deal to be the Christmas number one, and it wasn't always like boy, George, like George Michael, like Careless Whisper, that kind of thing. But if you want,
oh my God, my daughter, like, oh my gosh, she totally loved him, and I'll be honest, I would have loved to see him before he passed. Like, that guy was brilliant, for his time.
I think my cousin did. I'm not sure.
Oh God,
she's a lot older, but she saw a lot of concerts. I mean, when I mean a lot,
is she the Depeche Mode fan, or is that your sister?
Yes, yeah. But I remember because she was a little bit, she's probably like 10, 15 years older than me. But then she would see everything. And I remember she used to walk around with a shirt that said "boy" on the front, if you remember those. Just like the ones in was it Wake Me Up?
Was that you two?
Was that me?
No, like you said, with "boy" on it. Was that U2 shirt? Like U2 had an album called "Boy."
I think they had a song called "Boy" as well. But I think Wham, they'd say like "Life," "Boy," just random, that kind of thing. So she saw a lot of that, and kind of like early to mid '80s. They were huge. Wham! I remember when that song came out.
Oh yeah. I was like, I was kind of like in high school, and that was like everybody who didn't want to admit it still liked the song. It was just catchy, But yeah. But that guy had, talk about range. That guy had a good vocal.
Yeah. I mean, the guy could do pretty much everything. Oh wow!
What I heard, he was a big philanthropist. Like, he would do stuff, and he would ask, "Please, can you keep my identity private?" And somehow it would always leak out. But he would do a lot of charity. He actually almost went bankrupt, just giving up so much. Yeah,
I've heard about a few people like that actually. I mean, it's ironic. The most famous, I guess, philanthropist.
Philanthropist.
Charitable person I can think of is Bob Geldof, and he wasn't actually the most popular musician. I mean, I can name one song by the Boomtown Rats, and that's about it.
Yeah, I know a couple. That's it. Yeah.
But I mean, he did a lot though.
He started the first was it Band-Aid, right? Wasn't him?
Band-Aid, They Know It's Christmas and all that. It's funny. I'm looking up the charts in the UK now. I haven't done this in years, and 3 out of the 4 top songs have the word Christmas in them.
Oh, you're right.
Currently, number 2 is This Christmas. Number 3 is All I Want for Christmas Is You. Number 4 is Last Christmas. I'm guessing I don't know if it's a remake or what. But number 1 is
what it is with the Brits and their Christmas. Like, even on Doctor Who, they'd always have a stupid Christmas special. And my friend I was talking to,
the country shuts down for like I don't know if it's still like that, but it was shut down for a week. Like, that was good. Literally.
I mean, you got the Christmas Carol. What's his name? Who wrote that? There, it's ingrained in there. But it's the way they hold the tradition is very Western. Anyway, I love it though. I mean, I will say this much: like when I was in Europe and stuff, the way they hold their traditions are just like what we kind of wish to hold up to, except we get too plastic, and then we get, you know what I mean?
Well, it's a lot. It's you got to remember it's not a very big country as well. Now it's 60 million, but I mean,
but they hold the traditions. They hold the traditions pretty. Yeah,
that's true.
Now they got all that, all the stuff that's going on right now. I was talking to, I don't know if you knew, I was on live last night, and I felt bad because like I went past my time and I was trying to get off, but there was these two lovely ladies. They're from Britain. They were on there. They always come and visit. You know Lainey? She's Big Girls Do Not Cry, or Big Girls Do Cry.
I think I've seen so many screenings. I'm sure
she was there, and there's this other girl. She calls herself Bad Wolf, but she had her real name on that day.
Okay.
A couple other blokes came in. It was fun. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I get bored. It's like with the American side, and I'm like jumping ship. It was like when I was in the art department. I was in visual arts, and I was like, all right, we're inbreeding too much intellectually. So I would jump ship, and I would go to the theater department, or I would go to the music department.
Nice. I mean, yeah, I'm a little bit the same way, even though I get stuck in my ways, but I like to do different things.
You sometimes, yeah.
You kind of have to. I mean, at least I like to. So,
are you a Bjork fan?
A little bit. My brother was a huge Bjork fan. He liked all that early Sugar Cube stuff and all that. So
yeah, I'm starting to get back into them again. Like for a while, I was like, I don't know. I liked it because of her, but I think it was the other guy kind of got on my nerves. But
experimental.
Well, look at her now. Like she's smart. She did her little Bjork thing. She did the mainstream kind of I call it mainstream, the first few albums. But by the time she got this one album called Homeogenic, which is the first time I saw her, and I was like front row. I mean, that was when you still were able to do that. And that's when she was like not mega. I don't know why. By that blew her up, that album. But like after that, her like single releases that were mixes, those things went crazy. They were like every other big band at the time that was doing it.
Yeah, I remember my brother would get all those. They would all be on cassette at that time. But all that. I mean, she was huge for a while. I mean, more in Europe, I'm guessing, than in the U.S. But even here,
she's like underground huge. Like, let me put it this way: I saw her. God, it must be going on 7 years now. The last time I got to see her, 6 or 7. It must be at least 7 years, because I saw her, and I couldn't believe you couldn't even get close to the stage. And this was at a festival. Like it was crazy. Like it was just, you couldn't even get close.
Funny thing, she looks exactly the same. I'm looking her up right now. She looks exactly the same.
Oh God, yeah. I know too much about her. Like she's one I follow. Like there's the library system that I have. They have a free. It's kind of like a Netflix thing, but you have to be in that library system, and it's a small one outside of Austin. So like if you're not within that region, but I've known the ladies so much, they just go ahead here. You can only check out one thing at a time. I'm like, I don't care. But I said, can I use the Canopy? And Canopy is what it's called. If you can look it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. They have one of Bjork's first films. I never knew existed. It is crazy. It's very much about like witchcraft and stuff. And I was like, what? And I'm like, the storyline is, but like she was always an actress. Like she's done a couple of movies since people don't know about, but
she's like what Yoko Ono wanted to be. But
so like it's like her new stuff is very much like it's experimental, but like to her it's all about energy, spirituality. I'm like, she's the modern day hippie if you think about it. But like I know people that go, oh, I don't like that. I don't know what the hell she's doing. I'm like, dude, she is so far ahead of herself. Like Radiohead is like, and some other experimental stuff that you can listen to. Like I think they're just reaching different limits.
Yeah, I think a lot of people borrow from her in certain ways. So, I mean, I'm not really into the music scene as much in the last, I want to say 8 to 10 years, but
I hate to say it. I kind of drifted off, but now I'm like, you know what? My daughter's gone. I'm going to reintroduce myself back into what I used to love. And I don't have any problem. Like, I'm not very discriminating when it comes to music because I know art is subjective. Yeah. Art is so subjective. It's like you look at a painting and go, it doesn't, but then you come back to it and you're like, whoa, I didn't see that. And then you have a higher respect, but you also have a higher consciousness because you go, see, the first time I looked at that, I was just glazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like discovering something. Then you learn the context, then you learn the history, and then you got to just it's like, to me, looking at a painting is like a dialogue. It's a conversation. You have to keep engaging with it. You know, I'm not saying you have to love it, but
no, it's funny you say that, because I remember we would go, like, my brother or my mom, they like art a lot.
oh, cool.
My brother is more. It's hard to tell what he likes and what he doesn't like, because he seems to like everything. But my mother is more kind of like, she likes, like, who's her favorite? John Constable. He does like countryside pictures of like that's her.
She likes it. That's good. Yeah,
So
he's good.
And we would go to. I remember we would go to like the National Gallery, the Tate Gallery in London.
Oh yeah.
And we look. I was bored out of my mind, I got to admit. And but they were looking. I remember there was a display my brother took me to, and I forget who was it. It was literally like 20 feet by 20 feet, and it was nothing. It was like a block of white. I'm like, what are we looking at? And there's so many people staring at this. And I think there's like a little thing in the middle. Who was that?
I'm laughing because I study art, and either it's like, you don't have to like it to respect it, but like, there's stuff I walked away, and the older I got after, I was like, you know what? I didn't realize how pretentious that was. I don't like it anymore. But, you know, then sometimes you don't like it because you learn about the artist, and you're like, oh God, I'm sorry. But, you know, it's weird. It's like, but art is not for everybody, but I think art is for everybody. Does that make sense?
It does, because I think, like you said, everyone takes things differently.
Yeah,
maybe like something, maybe you don't.
You may see it differently too. To me, it's an experience. Like, part of it, you may have been bored out of your mind, but is also that your mother and your brother were having a different experience, and sometimes maybe the connection was between them. Like, oh, look at this, and you're like, oh fuck, can we get out of here? You know,
and his name. I'm trying to remember, because I remember
was he a contemporary artist?
He was. It was modern art, I guess you would call it.
Okay, so when I say contemporary, like modern art, really is a. I love this because this is one of those like where I was trying to explain to you about like something else that it's like printmaking. Modern art actually is a definitive period, and it's like really, I think it's pre-50s. Anything,
okay, so but definitely not modern art then. This is
when they say contemporary art. I mean, people use modern art in a loose term, like modern, like meaning they think it means now, but contemporary art means right now.
Okay.
But actually, there's not even contemporary art anymore. Like people don't even like that term. But contemporary art was probably like post 60s into like the 90s.
Okay, it would be contemporary art then. And I'm trying to remember. It wasn't. I'm trying.
I bet you I know who it is. I bet you know. There's. I'll be honest. I knew a lot about art back in the day where I remember the names. Now I'm like, you know. But there was 3 major British artists that were like super famous.
Okay.
There was this one guy, like he was like the mega superstar, like he was like the rap star of art in Britain, and he like he would encase a shark inside of like plexiglass and stuff like that. And God, I can't remember his name now. And then there's another guy that he went on to make
one word name. It was. I remember it was a one-word name. I'm thinking with the letter R. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, you're not talking about did they happen to? Was it the graffiti artist?
It's not Banksy. It wasn't Banksy. Okay. Banksy, I know. I enjoy. I can understand it more, maybe because I'm not
because he was actually about art for the masses without being paid for it.
Yeah, Banksy. I'm sure you've seen like was it Through the Gift Shop or whatever it's called?
Yeah, that one was a long time ago. That was so.
I mean,
it was true because, but at the end, it showed like the arrogance of that one guy that wanted to use Banksy and shot it off, so to speak. But there's a new one out. It's really good. You should watch it. It's even better. It was his residency in New York.
Oh,
it is really good. Yeah, it just came out. That's where I saw in Canopy and stuff like that.
Yeah. Rothko, is it Rothko?
Oh, Mark Rothko. Oh, it was a painting then.
It was a painting. Yeah, I think it was a Rothko.
Oh, dude! If you ever come to Texas, I'm going to take you to Houston. There is a Mark Rothko chapel. Yeah. I know a lot about Mark Rothko. Mark Rothko is.
I was literally looking at like a strip of black paint on a white.
But it wasn't. To be honest, there was. He has some that look all gray black, but it's not. If you stand there, it fuses out. You'll see like a bottom stream layer is like green or whatever. You know, the top layer made like. But he's what they call an I'm going to go out on a limb. I may be wrong, but he's kind of falls in the category of op art. Op art is optical illusions. But to me, he was actually from the abstract expressionist era, which is from the 50s. So it's postmodern kind of going into, he was modern. You're right. He was, but I will say this much. I didn't like him a lot. And then one day I was like, oh, and I have friends that are they have their MFAs and stuff like that. I went to school and they're like, I still can't stand him, but they don't like him for a different reason. Because he committed suicide. I don't know if you knew this.
I'm sorry?
He committed suicide.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and well, he had clinical issues, but he was very much in a lot of physical pain and stuff. Oh God, I'm trying to remember this guy that played the octopus in Spider-Man movie.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. He's English too.
Yes, he played Mark Rothko in a play. If you can look it up and watch parts of it, you'll understand Mark Rothko from a different perspective. But he plays Mark Rothko.
It's Alfred Molina.
Yeah, Alfred Molina is a really good, and he's actually played other artists. Like he's played Frida Kahlo's husband, and stuff like. But he plays Mark Rothko.
Yeah, he plays everybody. For some reason, he can play any.
Type in Alfred Molina, Mark Rothko, and you'll go, holy crap! And I watched it on PBS, and it's really like, you got to understand. I'm an art nerd. You may not like it. You may not be able to sit through it, but it's a little more entertaining because there's a dialogue. And there's this young actor that's with him who plays his assistant. And this guy's like a brilliant actor too. But I think they made this in, I think BBC may have been the producer for this, and then PBS aired it. But it's great. It's like, it goes into like his life, like they do movies about Van Gogh or whatever, Picasso. But this one's a good one.
It was a play originally, right? Red? Is that what I'm looking at?
I think it's called Red, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a full episode, great performances, PBS.
Yeah, it's really brilliant. It's like, I was like so impressed. I love actors, but I like to see them in theatrics. So, which is very much an English tradition. And he's just, first and foremost, like he gives you his take on what Mark Rothko was or who he was. Okay. So it's like, it just was fun. But really the story is about him and his relationship between his assistant, who actually was outsmarting him at points. And they would talk about it like from this philosophical inquiry, like it was deep, talking about like on a different level. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But Mark Rothko, I will say this much: he's not easy to digest, and I'll use that word again. Because let me explain. The one Mark Rothko you may have looked at, you may have said, "This is shite." I can't look at this, and maybe you're right. But there's a chapel in Houston that's right next to this other art center. It's for free. It's a non-denominational chapel. Your mother would love it. If she ever comes to Houston, let me know. I'll take her on a tour there.
Okay.
And seriously, I'll do that for you. It is beautiful because it's manned. They only let so many people in there, but the one rule is you have to be quiet when you go in there. You can't talk. They ask you not to talk. It's like it's a place for meditation, prayer, whatever. They have Buddhist monk ceremonies. They've had Hindi ceremonies. They've had Christian ceremonies. They've had Jewish ceremonies in there. They had, you name it. But he painted these. He painted 4 paintings. He actually may have painted more, but he painted 4 specific paintings to sit inside this chapel. And look it up. It's called the Rothko Chapel. And get this. After that were his last paintings.
Oh, I'm looking at. Oh, I can see it right now. Rothko Chapel is an interfaith sanctuary, a center for human rights.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Wow. And
the sad thing is, as I told you, I don't want to repeat it.
Yeah. I just read that. I'm reading his Wikipedia right now. Smart guy, went to Yale.
I got to give you a lot of credit because, for not liking it and saying you don't like it, that's good. I think you should say. But I will say this much: now that you have this dialogue, maybe one day you'll go into a gallery, of a museum, and you'll walk up to it and look at it differently. Just try to look at it in a whole different way. Bring to your mind, okay, this is a man that lived a tormented life. This is a man that.
I think, like you said, art is complete. Like this guy, obviously has had a tormented background. I mean,
it's very experiential. Like when you look at it, you can there's certain people that go, I love the colors. Okay. Is that all you like about it? Or do you like the way it undulates and all of a sudden the lighting in the room comes in because the sun came up, and all of a sudden you're seeing a whole different painting. Like the layers come out, you know, and there's different things about it. So it's not about color anymore. It's about how expressive this painting becomes vibrant and it comes alive and whatnot. But, you know, some people bring their garbage and their baggage to it, meaning, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, like, people come in and they're like not in the right set of mind. Like, they got in a divorce and they hate everything that day, you know, or they come to it and they think, oh, this is beautiful because, you know, they're having a great day. Was that why the painting's beautiful? Because you're having a great day? Or, you know, so it's very interesting. It's like when I go to a gallery, to me, it's sacred space. It's like, look at everything in, you know, a different way.
If I was to look at, I'm still looking at I guess I still have the mindset I had when I was 8. I'm trying to unpack this, but it looks like
you didn't say you were 8 years old. That's different. Yeah, when you're a kid, you're being drug home. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had an appreciation for going to places and looking at new things. That was kind of where it stopped, because you know, I only had a certain level of
you know what I did once? I totally did something. A lot of my art friends were like, "That's taboo. You shouldn't do that, Louis." I would go in and I'd have my ear. Now you can do it easy with ear pods. But I would go in with like headphones and I'd hide them with my hoodie because it was a cold day. And I would go in the Metropolitan Museum of Art and I would listen to Radiohead, certain ones on repeat.
Well, now they give you the head, and they'll sometimes have different people talking about the piece.
No, I would listen to music, and I would I would do my own experience. Like, I'd be walking through the snow in Central Park, go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, put in my headphones, listen to a specific Radiohead song, and go to the painting that I love the most. And it was like it was a different experience. And I created that, you know, I wanted it to happen.
Very Ferris Bueller of you.
What's that?
A very Ferris Bueller of you.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I mean, I don't know. I think I was just trying to raise on a different level of like just being of like, can I just like really get in touch with something, you know? And experiment. And like, it was almost too emotional. You know, it was like, do I need to be doing this? This could be dangerous. You know, it's like, you know, I can look at it and not experience the same way. And I could be molesting this painting's real integrity, you know, but to me, it wasn't about that because I knew I brought something. It had to be a specific song and it had to be a specific painting. And somehow I married those two. And I was like, this is interesting. To me, it was like making a movie. You know, when you go see a movie and you're like, there's a scene, and all of a sudden they introduce a soundtrack to it. How are those two related?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, they make it. I mean, whoever the directors, producers, they marry them together. And
they expect you to experience it, but through their eyes. So I said, why can't I make my own experience? So I learned to do that quickly. And sometimes then I realized I don't need music. You know, it's that noise, you know. Yeah. And I learned what's that?
I think you're 100% right. There's certain soundtracks, and what I've watched is more movies than art that I've seen. But soundtracks really, like, bad movies have great soundtracks sometimes, and that made the movie. Yeah. So, I mean,
that's true. It really does. Cinematography and audio sound of soundtracks I used to do nothing but collect. For a while, I stopped collecting LPs, and then I started getting into soundtracks.
Okay.
And that's all I would collect was soundtracks. Like, there's one by Tom York he did for a remake of a soundtrack from a movie that was from the 70s, very experimental. And he wouldn't do it for a long time. He says, I'm only going to do it because you are remaking the movie, but I don't want it to be compared to the original master soundtrack, you know. But he was honored to do it, you know, and it's kind of that stream of thought. Do you have any albums in your life that are like the soundtrack of your life? Maybe like one song or a certain album?
So many. So many. I mean, I'm trying to think here. What would?
Want me to give you an example of something that's like a soundtrack of my life?
Okay.
Have you heard of this group? They're from Canada. Is that their name? Oh God! When I mention them, give me a minute. Oh shit. Well, you if you think of something, just drop it in there. I'm trying to remember now. My mind went blank. They're very ambient. They were very ambient.
That's not who I'm thinking of then. I was thinking, you said Canada, so I was thinking of, what do you call it?
Boards of Canada. That's them. Boards of Canada.
Boards of Canada. No, I don't think I've heard of them.
Wow. Dude, That's my gift to you tonight. When you're in a chill mode and you want to it's actually kind of fun. You can almost listen to it, and if you can't, that's fine. But listen to Boards of Canada. Some of their tracks are like soundtracks to my life. Like there's really no verbal in it. There's a lot of sampling, but they're very ambient, and they won't do music anymore. I think I'm sorry, they're two brothers from Scotland.
Okay. I used to listen a lot of Air. I don't know why. The group Air. I think it was Air.
Yeah. Oh my God. I haven't heard them in a while. Yeah.
Probably 20 years. But I mean,
that's a good one.
I used to like a lot. I mean, it never really took off here. And it's a lot, not really ambient at all. But I want to say the late 90s, drum and bass, when that first came out, before it got so raucous, was actually pretty decent. I don't know if I was just because I was younger then. I used to play tennis a lot, and I would have the headset on. I'd be listening to that.
See, and, that was your experience. Your art was your tennis, and you're sitting there going at it, and then you got this music on, and you're like, it's like a hyper focus. It's a type of meditation, almost.
No, absolutely. And actually, it's funny. I think I got that because our tennis coach would bring radios out, like an old cassette player double box. So you put you actually have the batteries, and there's no outlet on there. And he would play like a lot of Queen, a lot of.
And you're like,
nah. I mean, not exactly that's what you're talking about, but he would play whatever from the 70s. It's mainly rock from the 70s.
Oh my God.
But I mean, just to get us going, I guess. Nobody liked it.
That's a different experience.
I liked the music. Everyone else hated it, though. They did their best to try and hit tennis balls at the radio to see if they could get it.
He was testing you guys to see who can, that's whatever. I don't know.
That was funny, though. I remember that.
Tennis?
I'm sorry. Oh, I haven't played tennis in years. I was okay as a 16-year-old.
You should do this an exercise, bro. I
need to. We started walking. That's a start, I guess. But I need to get out to when there's no gym.
One day a week where you can go for 1 hour. Like even if you just go hit it up against a wall or something like that. Badminton, something. But,
yeah, tennis is something I played for years.
I bet you'd love it. You'd probably get back into a whole different. Your mind would change. Your physical body would I needed this.
I used to play. I'm super unathletic, but I used to play sports all the time. Like I've had multiple major injuries, and they all came from sports. I shattered my right leg playing soccer.
Oh God.
I tore my ACL playing basketball. I mean,
dude.
Sounds worse than it is, but it's not that
bad. Old man now.
Yeah. I mean,
how about this? Have you thought about just in a very nice and light kind of way, like maybe with your kids or something, you can kind of, just playfully play it so that way you're not so hard on yourself, but also just to kind of get them into this experience, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I tried actually last year. Because they were old enough to join soccer. So I coached both of their teams. Cool. It was more of a way for me to get out there and run around with them. But I mean, so that I did, and then unfortunately couldn't do that this year. But that was fun. And ironically, my daughter was more into that than my son was. My son was like, this is boring. I need my Minecraft. But my daughter was her team went undefeated. They didn't lose a game. I mean, a bunch of little 7-8-year-olds running around. But that was a lot of fun.
Did you read that Leroy said he's having a bad connection? He can't make it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
No worries, Leroy. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Leroy.
Let me let you go and do some focus on your stuff. I need to go get something to eat here in a little bit, and I'm going to get ready for my show pretty soon. And man, I always enjoy talking to you. Yeah, I'll watch your show. Is it coming up this week on with Perez?
Tomorrow. We try and do them early in the week, so tomorrow.
Dude, I really enjoy that talk with you guys. You're like, I know we're gonna give out some bloopers. It is our opinion. I'm like, who cares? I'm like, I love that stuff. But what you guys were talking about was I think it was a very important perspective to have. I love movies.
I mean, to be honest, I could have talked about that kind of stuff forever. Let me see. Let me put this up real fast. It was something, to be honest, I've been thinking about doing for a long, long time because I think, and this is Louis' show later, 1 o'clock Pacific.
Oh, thank you.
I think it is. So I always talk about my perspective. Like, so it's 1 p.m. Pacific, which would be, I think it's 1 p.m. Pacific. Yeah, it says 1 p.m. Pacific for me. So
got a really good guy, today too. It's Brennan. I don't know if you ever watched his stuff. I like him because he's really chill. He brings his guitar out. I asked him, I said, "You're welcome to bring your guitar if that's something you want to do." And it's like he was like, "Yeah, maybe," But I hooked up with him this morning. He's coming on.
Okay, cool. Absolutely, I'll check it out.
I appreciate you. Yeah, he's gonna be fun. I don't know what we're gonna talk about today. Usually I kind of try to have something, but I think we're gonna talk about like what kind of meditation. So like your form of tennis be a good meditation, or some kind of sport, sometimes getting in that zone, just as a kind of like for resellers, what do we have as a form of meditation?
I love sports. We would do anything. I remember when I worked at Cisco, we would all play like flag football, not flags, but like we play like touch football.
Yeah.
Basketball leagues. I've done so many basketball leagues, and I'm the least athletic person, but I'm always the first one there. I'm always the one running around.
You love it, yeah.
It's fun. I just like sports in general. Yeah.
So what do you like more? Baseball, basketball, football?
Soccer. I'm a huge soccer fan.
So what's the two different types of soccer? There's the one from Europe. What is that called? FIFA? No.
Yeah, I mean FIFA is the board. I forget what it's called. It's in French, but it's like that.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I guess soccer, football, whatever you call it.
Because every time I tell my nephew, he's like, "No, Uncle, I only like the European soccer. I don't like the." I'm like, I don't know. It's like whatever. But he's talking about like, what's the one in the Americas we play here? Is that a different?
I mean, I guess here they would. I mean, if you're in Europe, they would call that American football, but here you would call it football, I guess.
Well, I mean, no, not NFL. I meant like the actual soccer, like
soccer. I mean, I guess you just call it soccer here.
No, but I meant like there's what's the two different divisions of like
Major League Soccer? Is that what you mean? Like like the American League?
He's talking about the world. What's the world one? That's more.
Oh, the World Cup.
Yeah, but what is that under? Is that falling under what? Like who? Like I know it's.
I mean, like, I guess you said it correctly. FIFA, the FIFA World Cup. FIFA is like the governing board.
FIFA is the name of the, like saying NFL or something, right?
Exactly. It's like the board that governs it. It's like it's like saying.
But how do you know which teams are under it? So like that's what I'm like. I watch.
Oh, okay. That gets confusing for a little. You got your national teams and you got your club sides. Okay. So like national side would be like the U.S. national soccer team, or the English national soccer team. Then the club sides be like Manchester United. You'd be like LA Galaxy, or like Real Madrid.
So when he says European, he may be just talking about a whole different European soccer leagues.
He's talking about club sides, like the individually, like they're from cities, sometimes multiple cities, like San Jose Clash or Earthquakes, they're called now. And then
like in Italy, I used to like to listen. I would try to go. I almost got to go, and I got kicked out. Was the Genoa Griffins, from Italy.
Okay. Yeah, they have. Yeah, Italy's huge. AC Milan, Inter Milan, all those guys.
I was in Europe when they went to Spain, and I went to Barcelona, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't get tickets. I couldn't just. But I took a bus out there, and I got to see the stadium and stuff. I really wanted to go. I mean, I'm no soccer expert, but I love it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I grew up with that. We used to go and we would watch the training. There was like on the way to getting groceries, my mom would let us stop, and you could see through the fence. You could see them. Right. Back then, it was a club called Wimbledon and Crystal Palace. They used to share a ground. Just walk around, watch for 5 minutes. They're just kicking the ball around. So that was it.
Yeah, but that as a kid, you're like, oh, look at them do that. It's like you get to see stuff. Yeah, people still do that, like with baseball. Like they'll go during the spring. They call it spring training. And there's like adults that want to go they bring their cameras. They bring stuff for them to sign.
I have my friends that do that. They go to spring training. They go to like the 49ers spring training too. Not that I don't think they call it spring training, but they go to like the
training
preseason stuff. But yeah. Especially like around here, it's in Arizona. I think on the East Coast, it's like Florida or something like that. But whatever.
Yeah, that's where they go. It's like especially the Red Sox. Everybody goes. Yeah, they go to Arizona and stuff like that. So
I was
gonna get a lot more listed today.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. We keep cutting each other off. Are you going to list more today?
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm probably going to cut off here though in a little bit.
Are you doing it tomorrow? Are you going to do it tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I don't do the live because I think is it Eric OBX Picker does the live, so I don't want to cut into that. So I don't do it on Tuesdays usually, and then also I do what we do on Tuesdays. We usually me and Paul do. We record. It's only about an hour long, 45 minutes. So I usually do that on Tuesdays now. So, but we'll be back Wednesday. Leroy and he'll be back, and then also I don't know about Thursday or Friday though, because with Christmas Eve. Usually I would say no, definitely not. But because we're all we're at home all the time anyway, and we can't really go anywhere. So possibly Thursday and Friday. I don't know.
Like do it like really late or something. I don't know. Maybe when the kids are in bed or something.
Yeah. Well, right now, I mean, yeah. So Thursday, Friday, I don't know. Wednesday, I was hoping to do like a Christmas type thing on Wednesday. We'll see. I'll play it by ear.
Let's play it by ear. Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming on. And then everyone, that's what they're right there.
I always feel like I'm distracting you because like I already got a lot of my stuff done today. I wrapped my packages. I got to go bring them out there.
That's what I have to do too. So I have to go drop off.
Get with it. Get with it.
Yeah.
I'll catch you later, man.
Take it easy, Lee. Bye.
Take it easy.